Hello, everyone. Welcome to twitch.tv/help action needed. My name is Sean. You can find me all across the internet at help action needed. And with me, I have Abby, who's over there. Who are
Whoa.
you?
Who?
Yeah.
I'm Abby, as you said, also known as Abigail the Nerd. I appeared in a couple episodes of Godkiller Songs of the Past. A little bit of a
Yeah.
guest role.
And what is that? What is Godkiller Songs of the Past?
Oh, sad Joe using the Godkiller First Blood edition.
Yeah, so hey everyone, hi. We're here to talk about Godkiller. That had real cold open energy that we didn't
Yeah.
plan. Chat, we both took naps before this. It helped
did.
a little.
I don't know.
You're getting raw, unedited Sean and Abby after seeing 14 weeks of nice, clean, pristine, edited Sean and Abby. Which
Good
wild
lord.
that show went out for 14 weeks. Like a little picture behind the scenes to everyone in chat. We started conceptualizing this show last September. No, August.
Yeah.
Because I had to be done with recordings by September. So August of last year, almost an entire year ago, Abby and I were put in our first ever scene in the space in our lives. Thank you for the lurk, Jenna. Please enjoy whatever you're doing while you're lurking. And just by situation and happenstance and the world around us, we have been pitted as enemies and rivals and arch nemeses. I don't even remember exactly how the bit started.
It was for Fall of Taliva. It was just a bit that started where it was like, oh man, our characters conceptually wouldn't like each other. I think I'm gonna have to kill you. And it was like, you could try. Like then it just became a back and forth.
And then it went to an unannounced yet project, where our characters fate. You look confused. Yeah.
I was.
Yeah. Where in that show, we don't really interact that much. J Ren, welcome in. Hydrate. And in that show, like, we don't really interact much, but the one time we do isn't cooperative.
No, it's not entirely friendly.
No, we try to be your friend. You just misinterpret it. And then there was a third thing that within the span of like 3 to 6 months. Well, no, before that.
I don't think so.
There was like I don't know, but in the span of like 3 to 6 months, Abby and I were deemed nemesis, and we're like, we will eternally destroy each other every chance we get. And then we did one 10-minute recording.
Yeah, 10, 15.
Maybe. And said, hey, we should really do something about this. And then Abby said, hey, what if we did Godkiller? And we went, okay.
Right.
And then this show, as some of you may know, was supposed to be 6 episodes. And then it was 14 with a 2-hour finale and some other stuff that we'll talk about as we go tonight. So safe to say, it kind of outgrew what it was meant to be, but I think it outgrew what it was meant to be for the better. Yeah. So we know how the project came conceptually. How did Odette come to be? What made Odette Odette?
Oh man, Odette was a character where, for the idea of Godkiller, I wanted to play a character who shouldn't be one. Just happenstance, reading the Nobody playbook, I was like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Now what do I do with it? And the idea of a traveling like bard who wanted to tell people stories, to the point that there was an entity story that she wanted to tell, like that was her driving force, was pretty much where I started. And then I went on to the world that we built together, and we built the tower together, which I thought the whole campaign was going to take place in the tower. That's probably why it wasn't 6 episodes, Sean.
Hey. Oh well. Yeah. For anyone that isn't aware, we had a lot of collaborative world building on what essentially became a set piece throughout the show. It had a lot more time mentioned then explored, because Odette maybe had her life changed a little bit by being yeeted off the top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, Abby, if you watched episode 1, that genuine reaction of what
When
around the
I think
45-minute mark.
yeah, I think I gasp and interrupt you. I go, no, like I go
You
like
do.
no.
Yeah. It's a very genuine reaction because Abby thought the entire campaign was going to be taking place on the tower and did not know that it wasn't.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep.
You have gone on the record of saying that the tower is one of your favorite like plot devices
Yes.
you've ever seen. What about that makes it so enthralling to you?
For Godkiller, I've always had the idea of the Tower of Babel being involved, because the story of the Tower of Babel is of humanity's hubris. Like that's just one of the, like almost a parable of like, yeah, the reason that there's so much miscommunication in the world is because we're so set on meeting God's level and to heaven that we tried to build a tower all the way. And he was like, yeah, sure, and then it started to become like, oh wait, no, never mind.
Mhm.
So he was like, yeah, what if there's like a Tower of Babel like set piece, and what if the tower uh didn't get abandoned and instead was the last hope of humanity? And from there, building like the idea when we were brainstorming was like, oh well, I had an image of Odette like unsafely traversing the tower,
Mhm.
and almost like recklessly traversing it with almost like a video game parkour tutorial, like in my head, like quick time events and stuff.
Mhm.
And so it was like, oh, I had this image of Odette grabbing like a piece of metal or something and zip lining across like cables. And so it was like, oh, what if the tower is starting to split in half and
Mhm.
humanity's desperately trying to keep it standing? Um, and so that was also a big part of it. And then City of Ember was a big inspiration on the idea of like incorporating technology there, and like a dwindling food supply, and not like fresh food, and a little like dilapidated place to live. um
Mhm.
but yeah, I love the tower, and I think you turned it into something really really cool, and then you threw me off the side of it.
Hey, you went back to it so many times. It's not like me throwing you off the edge was the end of the tower story. The
It's
entire
true.
show is the tower story.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like the story of Odette cannot exist without the story of the tower, quite literally.
Hmm.
Like, there's a, for anyone that hasn't seen it yet, I won't say what it is, but in the ending, there's a full circle moment of everything has to loop in on itself, because that's how the world works. And
Yep.
you did it. You achieved your goal of not dying, and then you achieved your
Yippee.
goal of talking. And
Yes.
that's all Odette wanted to do in her life, was not die and talk.
Yep. Odette just wanted to listen and be heard. Those were
Yeah.
the two goals of her.
Nice. I don't know if listen ever really was achieved.
Well, no, she wanted to hear people's stories.
Okay. I mean, I was
That
like,
was her whole
she's
thing.
not a great listener.
No, that's
Yeah.
me. I'm a bad listener.
We talked a lot about the joyful nature of Odette just being Abby in character, getting pissed at Sean and having Abby slip in through Odette. Yeah. Another thing that we won't talk too much about here, just a fun behind the scenes thing for you all to know. This was recorded in a like fever state, quite literally, because there was maybe 2 episodes that we both were alive for. There was so much that was just, oh hey, I've got bronchitis this week, or hey, I'm actively bleeding out, but I can make it. Like, so much. If you look back, I think you could watch through and be like, okay, I know.
Episodes 4 and 5 are me actively through the
Oh yeah.
process of those 2 recordings, because they're back to back on a Saturday morning. Through that process, my voice is getting lost, and I went back to bed afterwards for I think 7 hours, and then I texted you and was like, I'm sick.
Yeah. And then I don't remember which one it was, but there was one that I said at the end, like, okay, I can't wait to edit that because I don't remember what I said. And that's like, it was one of the episodes that has very minor lore implications. And every time you tried to ask a question, I was like, who could say? Because I couldn't remember anything. So
it's the one where you mentioned cars, and I was like, cars?
yes. So that would be episode 7 or 8.
7 or 8, because Alexander's like, yeah, the old world, cars. And
Yeah, I believe
like,
that's
I didn't know
7.
this.
Which made sense because that was when you talked with Want for the first time for real.
Yeah.
It was when you talked with Arya for a while, and then when Alexander's like, "Yeah, can you ask for a car or something?" and Abby went, "What?
What?
What?" Which there is room to be explored. There's a lot of mention of the pre-Divine War cradle, like. That is not something we've explored, but there is an old world. The technology came from somewhere. Like there's a lot of things in this world that are very set up, like kind of like Near Automata versus Near Replicant, where it's like Replicant is like, look, there was an old world, and now we are all a part of it in some way. And then even then, thousands of years later, Near Automata being like, we don't know what these are, but they're here. Like it's the world of our cradle is very much like one of those worlds where it's like humanity fully collapsed at some point, something rebuilt out of it, the gods appeared at some time, which if you believe the gods, they were always there. But there's also kind of a couple of weird hints dropped that like the world existed pre-divinity, and then after they all blew themselves up, the divine came in, and then the humans came back. So yeah, there's a lot of the world before that is not established, that we've never really explored, but gets references in fun little ways. And it's like, wait a minute, what? And I think the car was one of those, like Sean was dead. And also I was like, okay, the world existed before. Alexander knows the concept of cars. And then immediately went, Alexander does not know the concept of cars. I don't remember if that made it into the edit.
Yes, it sure did.
Did it? Okay.
It sure did.
I had considered cutting it, but I couldn't remember if I did or didn't.
Nah, we'll just have to put a car in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Just a little extra car mention.
Yeah. And chat, we're going to keep talking with each other, but if you have any questions at any point, feel free to drop them in the chat where you all are existing, and we'll answer for you. But yeah, what else? So we've talked about Odette. You talked about how the tower came to be. Let's talk about some of your favorite things. Let's talk about some of the things. One of them we know is Record. Record is your favorite person in the world. Record has never done anything wrong. Record is wonderful and amazing and the best support system you could ever ask for.
Yeah.
We ranked the gods at one point.
Oh my gosh.
Where now that everything is wrapped, now that you've seen it edited, now that you're not in the headspace of we just finished the finale and oh my god, I'm emotional. How do you think Odette ranks the gods from least to most favorite?
Oh gosh, I mean, Record's at she hates that guy. So Record is dead last. Then her and support came to like an understanding. So I think that there is a camaraderie that could be built in their future, but there will always be the hurt that was caused due to support. But I don't think support would be like second to least favorite. She has no disdain for any of the gods besides Record. I think she'd put Parrish there just because she second to last, just because she didn't interact with him much and he like broke her ribs and stuff. So like,
not his fault. He gave you literally of all of the divine, he gave you the most chances to be like, hey, let's talk and maybe be friends. Even before he did anything physically aggressive, he was like, hey, are you here to like hang out? And you're like, I'm gonna kill you. And he went, wrong answer. Would you like to maybe reevaluate? And you went, no.
Yeah, for sure.
Say he broke her ribs. You need to remember that Odette made choices.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I was very ill that day too. So not the smartest decisions, but we love a flawed girl.
After we get to the ranking, there are two almost world-changing moments I want to talk about. Both of them us being human, and that is definitely one of them.
That's one of them, because it could have gone very differently. So I'm gonna put record at the bottom. Then it's gonna go Parrish, not for dislike of Parrish. It's just that we didn't get much time with Parrish. And then Wind, just cause I love Wind. Odette loves Wind. It's pure. I'm just a little afraid, and I think she likes it like that. So we're gonna put her. We're gonna put her there. I'm gonna do Crest. We don't know really anything about Crest.
Crest goes above Wind.
Maybe we'll swap those. But Crest did nothing, didn't interact, but did help. And I think the poem about the ocean itself was so moving to Odette that I think that has affected her view of Crest. Let's see. Wait, hang on. I forgot about support. Parrish, support, Wind, Crest, Wind, and then God, this is all in my head too. And then we're gonna do Comfort, and Want is going to probably take that number 1 spot, just because of their bond growing over time, and also she's the champion of Want, so we gotta kind of take that into consideration.
She is. Yeah, it was very fun. The growth of who Want is to Odette versus who Odette wants Want to be. Like, I don't know if Want ever lived up to who Odette asked her to be. In your mind, do you think she did?
I don't know. Maybe that's something to explore.
Yeah, just like it feels like every time you're like, hey, just do this, you're a god. She's like, but I can't. And it's always like, why? The rest of them are so strong. Why can't you? And she's like, I'm so sorry.
You don't want it bad enough.
We forgot to put Death. Yeah.
I knew I was forgetting one. I think Death is fascinating. I think part of Odette kind of shaking off more of her mortality there at the end was no longer being afraid of death, or necessarily avoidant of interacting with death, as she had been when Want was like, I could introduce you and you guys could talk, and she was like, oh no, that's okay. Like, I think that they're a very fascinating entity. We'll probably put Death above Wind.
Okay, but below Crest. Well, no, because Crest eventually went below
we moved
Wind.
Crest. So below below
Record,
Comfort,
Parrish, support, Crest, Wind, Death, support, and that's Comfort, and
Comfort,
and then Want. Okay, yeah, nice. So a quick conversation on Death and then the changing things. You may notice Death has shifting pronouns throughout the show. That's because Abbi, part of it was on Sean. In my world building, my notes, Death had they, them as their primary pronouns. And just was like, okay, it's like, it makes sense that like Death would be the most removed from mortal concept. Let's go with it that way. It's also was like Death was never meant to be scary. Some of the people viewed Death as scary, but Death was always made as like their symbol is a comforting hand, like a hand reaching out in companionship. They're not meant to be terrifying, but humans don't like death. And then the first time Want talks about death, she refers to, like, in that case, him as
my
her brother.
Yeah.
And then Abbi goes, great, where is the goddess of female death?
The goddess of death, queen. Like,
yes.
Where is my girl?
And we have talked, and it's because of different media interpretations of death. Like, there are ones that like just are present, like a lot of the D&D world, the Raven Queen is a female, and a lot of like typical stuff, it's very gender neutral. In some stuff, like Death is a man, or like it's all over the place. So like no one can agree on who Death should be. But it was very funny that throughout the series, I think it was like after one of the episodes, like you went, wait, am I misgendering Death? And I went, we both have been.
And I was like, wait, you knew and you didn't tell me,
Well, because by that point, I had already changed their pronouns twice in what they were in my head. So it's like they're any all at this point.
Any
They've
all,
accidentally become an any all pronoun deity.
which I believe is incredibly fitting for an entity such as the concept of death. Because I think people would have different interpretations of death that would present themselves. So actually, we did it on purpose, and it was a really great stylistic choice. And give us money.
Sponsor us.
Sponsor us.
But one of the things with death was one of the campaign-defying moments of your choices, both the original and then follow-up to it, was Want told you that there were 3 gods who could help you find Support's downfall. There was death, and you were like, nope. And they're like, but they're lovely. Like, my brother's so nice. Just go hang out with him. He'll have a wonderful time. You're like, never fucking talking to your brother. I don't care what you say. I'm not doing that. Record, who you hated, but kind of like the enemy I know sort of moment. And then Parrish, who it was very interesting. So something we've never fully discussed in the campaign, I've talked with it a couple people outside, especially for people that are maybe going to help us out about a secret thing, is there's the concept of war gods in this show. And the ones that we met, none of them are like gods of war. Like, they're not like an Ares. They're not Kratos. They're not like Mars. They're not war gods or like gods that their domain is war. They're in the show. The term like god of war or war god means someone who benefits from the god war persisting. And so like Record is not, because Record wants all of the information. And if everyone dies, Record dies too, because there's nobody to continue developing information. Versus Parrish, where, oh no, everyone dies. My army is the memories of people fallen in battle. Great. Everyone dies. I have an eternal legion. Support, a weird one because they're a war god. They're a war god because the people needed to go to war, and therefore their domain became defined by, I will match your need, and thus I have been pulled into the divine war. And so Parrish wasn't painted really by anyone, but painted to Odette in that moment of like, and then there's the war guy, and Odette's like, that sounds scary. Not talking to him in any capacity, so I guess I'm gonna go with the evil man I know, who was evil and bad.
Who I hate.
Tell us more about that choice.
Oh, okay. Well, it was process of elimination for sure. And it was, the enemy I know versus the enemy I don't. And then once she was in it, she felt stuck in it because Alexander was there. And so how that first decision went was, like, you can talk to Death, and I was like, now's a good point to showcase where Odette's humanity is staying grounded in a way that's going to hold her back, which is she didn't want to confront Death as an entity because humans naturally avoid death, and naturally the concept of death is associated with grief and hardship and fear. So I was like, okay, that is a story decision. It's going to be one that probably works against her because death was probably the better decision. And then Parrish was like, Want literally said something like, "Oh, he's scary." Like Want like fully advised against it, and so she was like, "Oh," like I went back because I was kind of, questioning all decisions I've made. And I watched that episode and was like, "Oh yeah, what totally does not sell Parrish at all." Like,
I mean,
she's
why
like,
would
"Yeah, he
they?
scares me." Like,
yeah.
So then Record was the one, and I think even Want says something about Record as like, "Oh yeah, he's nice to me," or something. Like it seems like there was a little bit of bias from Want. And we had like just met Want too, so it was like, okay, Odette was figuring out, okay, I'm a champion now of Want, so like, what does this mean? Do I need to do what she advises? Like, how does this work? As she got more comfortable with Want, she was like, oh, this is a deeply flawed individual. And so, but at the time it was like that hesitancy of like, this divinity is a mystery to me, and while she's showing me kindness,
Mhm.
that can flip at any point.
Mhm.
And so there was a hesitancy in a like, okay, if I'm saying no to meeting your sibling, then I should probably follow the other advice being given, which is to
Yeah.
go talk to Record.
Which
And so that's
brings
how
up a
that
fun
happened.
point about GMing the show. Is especially a lot of you have said you're going to binge it, which I'm very excited to hear the difference of somebody binging the series versus watching it episodically as it releases. There is a lot of contradictory information presented to Odette because none of the gods are reliable narrators.
Mhm.
Everything they say to Odette is from their perspective or from the angle that they're pushing. And so like there's like the first time we even meet about the tower, it's like in I think it's episode 2 to 3, three different histories of it are given. Odette's
Mhm.
recollection is given, the scouts tell you what they think, and then when you get to
Yeah,
home, they tell you, and like home and the scouts are the same origin, but the
but they
people
have
you talk to at
different.
home are like the, oh, we know stuff people. Like this is what we
Mhm.
tell the common folk, this is what we actually know. And I think it's very fun for me to be able to run a show where it's like, not only do I need to keep in mind the actual canon that I am
Yeah.
basing the show off of, I need to keep in mind the lies that are being overlapped on top of each other for Odette to learn. And I think it took even you a second to be like, wait a minute, that's not right. Like, that's not
Yeah.
what you just said. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, but they didn't say it. And
Yeah.
it's a very different role from like a typical DM, because normally like the DM is like not an
Um.
entity in the
Yeah.
world, or yeah,
You're
there.
omniscient.
And if you have an NPC telling you something that's maybe not true, it makes sense because like, oh, like Beth from Grindleton would definitely think different than Gerald from Bethtown. Like they're
Yeah.
not going to have the same background. But here you're not talking to little people, you're talking to the concepts of reality, and they're like,
Right.
oh yeah, it's normal.
Yeah.
And then there's the, no, it's not. No, it's not. Stop that. Which is a joy. Um, but then to follow up on that point of choosing Record over Parish over Death, when you get to Parish, and part of it we know is because you were mentally drained, and you're like, I cannot fathom thinking right now.
It was so.
Parish gave you so many opportunities to have a
Mhm.
single conversation that you simply refused.
Yes.
Um, and I think that's great. I think it was very telling for who Odette is, especially in that moment. She had just saved Alexander. She had just kind of really seen how dark Record is willing to go. Like, you had known this isn't a great person, but then they're like, I could just end all of you,
Yeah.
or you could do this thing. And like all of that. And then Paris just being like, hey, they all say I'm scary. I get it. I am. But I'm not. Like, if you're my friend, you're my friend, and we're bounded for life. Like, we're going to be besties forever. Would you like that chance? And you saying no. And they're like, okay. And then you advance and to do something threatening. And so, like, okay, we're going to put an end to that. And then you come back and he
Yeah.
literally is like, mad respect. You got out of that hole. Chill. Do you want to reevaluate our conversation? And every time you don't even entertain him, you walk forward with silence, which I think makes it so cool. What in your mind is the alternate world where Parrish has either a conversation with you or Odette says, wait, this guy actually makes a lot of sense. It's pretty boy. Is it just pretty?
We kind of talked about it after the campaign, like post campaign. We kind of talked about it because I was curious, and I was feeling oddly like insecure about how that episode went. Like as a player, I was not feeling confident in the decisions that I made during it, or really as much the performance. And so we were like kind of brainstorming, because I was like, well, let's think about what would have happened if I had listened. And we kind of went over actually how bad that would have been, because once I chose Record, and once I talked to Record and brought Alexander there, I feel like from there, Parrish's fate was all but sealed. For Odette's end, because Alexander was there at home. But the way that episode had gone, I wasn't fully checked out. I was locked in it, just to more focus to be locked in that day, because that's when I had bronchitis. And so I was like, I think there's multiple points where I mute and just like cough. I think a cough attack had to be cut and stuff. Like it was just It was
Also,
a day.
For a chat to know, another behind the scenes, that's also a day that there was a big tech outage across the world that interrupted the recording. So we had to, there's 1 minute of the show that we had to try 4 times to record across like an hour. Like we had to wait 15 minutes to even like start again, and then it would crash after an hour. And that's why that's the only episode. If you watch it in the YouTube, not on the podcast, it won't matter, but on YouTube, there's about a 6-minute extended cut that our audio got desynced to the point I couldn't fix it, because it was like, it would rush ahead and then fall behind and then rush ahead and then fall behind. It's like, I'm not bothering with this. So I found an image that is kind of what Parrish's domain looks like and put it over both of our faces. And that is why that image is there, is because not only were we sick, not only was tech not being our friend, because there was a tech outage across the world, the files were corrupted. And I was like, I can't fix this. And I know it will bother me and everyone else if there's just so much desynced audio on screen for an extended period of time. And yeah, that's why there's Parrish's image.
Yep. But I still like was like locked in. It just took more effort. And the idea of, first she wasn't answering because she was scared. And was like, the more I had talked to Record, the more power I had been giving Record. So the less I talk to this one is probably the less trouble I'm gonna get in with this one. And then she saw the scene with what happened to the scouts. And the scouts for her carried a lot of weight, because the scouts were her first sign of humanity outside of the tower, which was earth-shattering. But it was an incredibly hopeful sight, and they were kind to her. And so that like high emotional moment for her was cementing the fact that was like, okay, I know what I have to do now. In the alternate universe where my regret is that I do wish I had talked to Parrish. Like that was the like, I do wish that I had a conversation with Parrish, rather than staying completely like silent, menacing figure, because I don't know. I think Odette was scared, but I do think she comes across as incredibly intimidating during that. But she was actually just like deeply frightened and at a moral low point. For herself, she was like, "Oh, I'm actually going to go willingly kill something, like going to kill someone." Even the animal that she killed with the scouts was basically self-defense and holding the spear up while it ran at her, which is basically how Parrish died too, except she leaned into it.
She leaned in with intention instead of safety.
Right. And so it was really like her first and so far only kill. But the alternate universe we had discussed would have probably been, okay, talk to Parrish. Parrish gives the information. If she goes back to home, either Alexander is dead or Alexander has been kicked out. And then the people of the tower will have nowhere to go. The people of home know not to trust anyone from the tower. So saving the people of the tower from the tower just puts them in a spot where like, oh, okay, so they can't settle where Comfort was because no food can grow there anymore. Like all the options,
because of
it was
Odette's choices.
I don't think Comfort's death was her fault.
Hey, sure.
The logic makes so much sense of, oh, we shared a meal and it made her stronger. We're gonna share.
Oh no, it's
meal.
like it definitely makes sense, and it makes sense why you would do it, but it's also sadly her downfall.
Yeah, we should talk about that. Let's talk about Comfort.
Yeah, let's talk about
Comfort. Questions.
Yeah, we can talk about Comfort. We'll come back to Comfort because I want to talk about the other almost campaign-defining moment. Which is cut. You all will never see it in the light of day. This is a behind-the-scenes talkback. They don't know about it because we cut it. Because 1, flow, and 2, you asked me to.
Yes.
So in the finale, if you don't want to hear about like some like literal like last hour spoilery stuff, maybe don't
This
listen
is
to the next
spoilers,
like
yeah.
moment or two. I'll give you some seconds to remove your headphones. So in the last conversation, it's with support, the person you've been trying to talk to the entire time. And that recording, we had both thought like, okay, we'll see how pacing goes, but just the pacing of it just continued to build in a way that didn't make sense to have a pause and make it a 15 episode show and keep it 14. And by the end, it was 2.5 hours of content with us prepping beforehand and other stuff. And I really do think it was the point in the series that you were the most emotionally wrecked by the way I GM'd it. Like,
Yeah.
most of the series, there was an out or a possibility or a way for you and Odette to think through it. The what I would call the tower ascent didn't. It was like your actions will have immediate consequences, and unfortunately for every choice you made and your dice rolls were bad. Like you may have chose the right thing, but then you rolled a 12 and a bad outcome. You may have rolled well, but you went to a part that was like I knew in my head didn't exist anymore, so it wasn't safe to go there. So by the time you reach there, everything is bad. And the last thing you saw was your best friend Comfort being all spooky zombified. Like, not great. And in this final conversation, after the paper has been signed, after you have done your moment, after you have channeled your divinity to change who support is and give them their freedom back, you ask for people to be freed, and he says yes, but you misinterpreted who he said. Well, he says no, but he says yes in a time.
Yeah.
And you misinterpreted that. Talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Okay, because there's part of it in there, because as Odette and the intensity of the moment, I was like, oh, we're building up to something right now. She was like not hearing him. So she was going, no. And then there's a soft cut right there because what happened?
There's a soft cut of about 90 seconds that would have changed everything.
So what happens is we go to the tower. The first sight that Odette sees are Alexander's friends, good people, hard workers, people she knew, but not to the same level.
Allies of the rebellion.
Yeah, allies of the rebellion. Sure, whatever. They are immortalized in the same way that the people who are the tower, the builders who made the contract, are immortalized. I'm worried about them because, like, as she's ascending the tower, their faces show they are alive, they are aware, and they are a subject that is brought up to support a couple times during the conversation of being like, that's not living. And he's like, who are you to dictate what's living? They're breathing. And like, and she's like, you know what I mean? Like, stop it. But we do this whole thing. We navigate this mental chess, as you said, talk between the two, both of them delivering absolute banger lines, and then she's like, what's going to happen to like the people, because you said the tower's going to fall in 1 year. And so she was like, and I wasn't specific enough, that's on me, but I was like, and the people who are like, will they die, will they move? I said, will they move on? And support goes, yes, after 1 year they will move on. And Odette was like, no, these are victims. These Alexander's friends are victims. They do not need to be here for 1 year suffering. That was a hill she was willing to kill for. Y'all. She almost tried to kill support right then and there after everything, because that would have been the hill she would have died on, because she is that deeply caring about the people of the tower, and those were not people who signed the contract. And so there's a point where she's like, no, absolutely not, like, we are not doing this. And support's getting a little frustrated too, like, what do you mean? Like, it's fine, they signed the contract. And I go, no, they didn't. The people out there did not sign the contract. And that's when Sean goes, oh no, these are they're fine. Like, and it's like, oh, okay.
Because part of the thing that Abbi kept saying no over, because Odette wasn't listening, was literal, like, okay, this is how it will be dismantled, this is how parts will go in. And support says, like he had said, like, the people that make the tower, And then that's who that he was referring to. And you're like, no. And it's like, I literally said, like, if I take them out now, everything comes crumbling down. Why the fuck are you saying you want a year and also you want to kill everyone? You are a mess of a human being. We know this.
I mean,
But
yes, we know
one
that.
cannot exist without the other. And you're like, no, freedom, acting like a child. And he's like, what? We just talked about this and it was fine. To then have me go, wait a second. Because, yeah, like,
Wait.
and also, it was made so clear to you in that fight, you couldn't win. You don't, like, you know how to kill support. You couldn't kill support. Like, that would be Odette throwing herself away because she didn't listen to him talk for a minute.
It's because he didn't specify the...
He did specify.
No.
You then changed who you were talking about.
I didn't change who I was talking about. I just didn't specify who I was talking about. And then you're like, yeah, they're gonna stick around to keep the tower up. And she's like, what about they're not load-bearing corpses. Like, let them go.
Load. There were never corpses. They weren't dead. Welcome in.
So yeah, crisis avoided.
Yes.
Odette's still alive in canon for a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful ending.
It was. Before we get to the Odette's alive for a little bit, let's talk about some of the stuff in the world that we maybe didn't get to see as much, and stuff that might come up as well as in our little bit. And then we can talk about my favorite psychological attack against you, the scoring of this show. Every time Abby watched back an episode, I would receive messages being like, "You're evil. I hate you. This is awful. Why would you do this to me?" For just tiny
That's
little
my way.
cues.
That's my way of saying that someone has successfully gotten me emotionally, and is my way of complimenting their ability to make me react.
But there are a couple of gods you have never met. Ones that were named directly to you. Love is alive. You never met Love.
Let's go, Queen.
You've never met the sun. You don't even know the sun's name. You just know that the sun is out there.
We're probably not going to meet the sun.
No, I don't think you're going to meet the sun. You've also never met Earth, who is out there and alive.
In the depths. Yeah, probably not one Earth that will be met either.
Crest aided you, but Crest is like deep below.
Yeah.
The only reason you found Wind was because you went to the top of a mountain. Like,
yeah,
they are the four. And those four gods, like, do not need worship. And we say this in the show, but, like, they will exist forever unless somebody kills them. And you can't. Like, if we're being honest, like, Odette can't kill the sun. How are you going to get to space, Odette? Yeah. Odette can't kill the ocean. How are you going to get to the bottom of the ocean? Like, those four cannot be killed, and they're aware of it, which is kind of why Want is so, like, and not Want, why Wind is so, like, you know what? Do your life. I'm here. This is a vibe. Like, because Want is aware everyone around her is competing for power, is competing for, like, their existence. And she's just like, the other three are boring. Like, they're just hiding, and not hiding. They're in their domain in the same way that she is in her domain. But, like, she can easily be the most public-facing one. So you never met them. You never met Gemini. Who I don't even think is mentioned in the no, she's mentioned once. When Want is talking through who's still around, mentions Gemini and is like, and she really hates Record. And that's the only passing information of Gemini, who is the goddess of duality. She is the both sides of every coin sort of goddess. And I think that's it. Because we know music is dead.
The god of architecture was mentioned, but...
Yeah. But I think architecture is also dead, right?
I don't know. God of music is dead. Hang on, we have notes of
I'm pulling them up here
to keep track of.
Is it in
myth is dead, music is dead, architecture is alive, love is alive, sun is alive, the goddess of kindness is dead.
That's right. Which is funny because the goddess of kindness is canonically an asshole.
Yeah, that's right. That's what goes. I'm glad she's dead.
Yeah. Want is glad the goddess of kindness is dead because she was mean to everyone in kind of that way of like, in my head, like I have not put that much thought into who kindness is, but very much that like, and no offense to anyone that may relate to this, that like church raised like Southern church girl who's like,
Bless
oh,
your
well, I
heart.
have Christ in my heart, so I must be the best of all of us. Like,
Bless your
that
heart.
is kindness to the point that wants, like, even I know she sucks. Like, we don't want her around. I forgot kindness is dead. But yeah, and then there's just a whole lot of gods out there that you never explored. There are cities out there that you never saw. Like, there's so much in the cradle that is alive that the residents of the tower did not believe were alive. Yeah. But speaking of things that are alive that no one talked about, what's our next part of Godkiller, Abby? Even if it's not Godkiller.
Well, there's a lot of stories from the cradle. There's a great name that need to be told, and
Is that the
we
name?
I don't know, stories of the cradle, stories from the cradle. I don't know. Hey,
Life
I've
in
got
the cradle.
Sure.
Life in the cradle. Yeah, it's a working title.
There's a lot of life in the cradle that we haven't seen yet, and we have a lot of really talented friends, and unfortunately, Godkiller is a 2-person game, and so we want to showcase more of the beautiful world that Sean has created, and these some of the characters we've seen already, some that we haven't. We want to tell some little stories here and there, and so we're gonna be doing. I'm behind the scenes for this one. The Sean's doing all the hard work for this. So this is really Sean's thing. I don't know why I'm the one announcing this.
It made sense of the conversational flow we were having.
All right. An anthology series. The series of one-shots set at different points in time throughout the cradle. To set up for potential future stories, and also just give some more insight on some of the characters. What happened to them, what happens to them, is a big question getting answered, and also showcasing some absolutely wonderfully talented people. It's been an absolute joy to see who applies and get us jumping up and down.
Yes.
What happens after that, or before that? What happens before that?
Before that, Gen Con, which, ! Gen Con, we're doing a live show, which is officially called Godkiller Songs of the Past Live Table. I don't know why tables in
parentheses.
Just put live, yeah. But what is unofficially referred to as Godkiller: The Fall of Odette. Because, hey, Odette made a lot of really powerful enemies. And Odette kind of shook up a lot of things that maybe she wasn't aware she was shaking up. Or maybe she was aware she was shaking up, but not quite aware of how poorly she was letting some things go across her several months. Which is another interesting thing about Songs of the Past. A lot of times when you look at these adventure-style shows, and they air for years, but if you look at them in terms of in-world time, they're like 2 months, maybe 6 months. The timeline of Songs of the Past is, like, I think canonically
8 to 9
done. Yeah,
8 to 9 months.
Yeah, which I think is, like, helps with the fact we had such a long window of us recording it, but also, like, premiering across 14 weeks, which is like 3.5 months. That's about like a third of Odette's actual life in the show, which is really cool. But if you want to see how that life comes to an end, come check us out at Gen Con. What
a segue.
Hey, I'm great at segues. Where you can see how Odette meets her end, which we don't even know yet. We know a lot of the factors in play, but we are not aware of how it ends yet. And we both have different thoughts about it. It's kind of been fun that we're half discussing the live show with each other, because we have beats we want to make sure we include for the other. But Abby has thoughts on what Odette will do, and I have thoughts on what the world has been doing. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. So if you want to be one of the first people to witness the fall of Odette, come check us out at Gen Con. Tickets are $2. It's at 10 a.m. on Friday the 31st. They gave us a 200-seat ballroom, so if we could fill some of that, That'd be lovely.
Some of it, just some. We're not expecting.
We're not expecting 200 people, but if you want to be really sad at 10 a.m.,
I think
really
that
sad
everyone,
at 10 a.m.
I think everyone wants to be really sad at 10 a.m.
I think everyone wants to be really sad.
It's going to be 7 a.m. my time because there's no way I'm adjusting to the time change while I'm there.
It's going to be 9 a.m. my time, which isn't that big of a difference, but like Abby knows what time I get up for work.
Yeah.
It's not 9 a.m.
Yeah, Sean tried to message me and be like, neither of us are ever up at that time. And I'm like, I start work at 7 a.m., Sean.
Yeah.
You're lying.
Yeah. It's like I'm technically up and like I am working at that time, but like I'm not mentally awake. But yeah, so come check that out. And then maybe at Gen Con, there'll be a couple more announcements about our anthology or some of the stories that might come after. Because while the Cradle is not my creation, the Cradle is part of Godkiller, created by Connie Chang. Like the Cradle is the world. Compared to other Godkiller shows, I think our Cradle is very different. Our Cradle, like it shares there are gods, it shares they are dying, it shares corpses of gods, and it shares that the river exists and is fading. But I think between ours and a lot of other people's, we have a very different ecosystem of what the Cradle
last
is.
Of humanity again.
Yes.
Like
versus
we're at that humanity low point once again.
Yeah. And some other shows do have like low points, but some other shows are more focused on we must kill the gods. Some of the shows are more focused on like this is an adventure story, where I wouldn't classify Odette's story as an adventure. Like
no, that's what she wanted.
Yes.
Like the first episode, she even says her divinity awakening is a call to adventure. And then and then the narrative makes her sad.
Yeah. It's very much kind of like a it's like an Odyssey versus like Achilles story. Like Achilles would be like a god killer of a different show, being like, okay, I've been training for this, I've lived my life, I am the best, like prophecies are already written about me and I will not die until my task is complete. Versus Odette, who is like, immediately blown off course because I offended somebody, did something wrong. In Odysseus' case, Poseidon is mad at me and I will never make it home. In your case, oh my god, I accidentally killed someone, what am I doing? And like it's much more a journey of the struggle to find yourself again than typical adventure. And I think that's very interesting because of it being like so many shows are, you have been chosen for some reason and you were just chosen literally because you were sad and wanted you to have a second chance.
Oh man. There's a point, because I watched episode 1 again last night because my friends were watching it. They're not watching this right now, but I know, fake fans.
Wow.
But I was watching it with them.
Parentheses, our best friends.
Our best friends.
Parentheses. Yeah.
Parentheses. But there's a part that we mentioned like when the first episode came out again of like, oh my gosh, whoa, that ended up being incredibly relevant. We're rolling to kill a god for Comfort. And Comfort like takes something. The death of Comfort takes something from Odette. And what I say during that part is like it's something lost, like the ease in her gait. But I think something gained as well, which is the feeling of being watched. And it being confirmed that when that happened, all of Divinity went, wait a minute. Something just happened. A deity just died and it wasn't by our doing. That's not supposed to happen. Like, and finding out how all the different gods view it, like Record's like, Godkiller, I can use this. Wenda's like, I honestly don't super care.
Yeah. Like Wind is a vibe, but to a concerning degree. Like, Wind is so nihilistic that like even your gift for a long time, like Wind said, I'm not going to take this away from you. Like, you've earned it, live your life. And you didn't believe her because you're like, she's so crazy, which also like the people in the world told you about. Like, Record is like, hey, do not trust her at face value. She's nice-ish. And like, you all were like, okay. And then you meet her, it's like, she seems so great. And then you meet her for like the next 3 seconds, like, I'm okay. Scared. Yeah, maybe there is something behind her little like girly pop facade. Yeah, she's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, she's fascinating.
She is
That was
fascinating.
also another really fun part of GMing it is like how the gods view each other versus how I know I'm going to play them. Because there are some like gods that like Parrish. We're like, oh, he's scary, he's awful, don't go there.
Yeah.
Because like if you look from what Want wants, yeah, he's got like he literally takes people's corpses and turns them into flower petal monsters. That's terrifying. He
That's
has
scary.
an underground. That's terrifying. From his perspective, he's recycling. He's keeping the natural biodiversity going. He offers everybody a chance to like be his friend. That's literally all he's asking for. Is like he's like, would you like to worship me and be my friend? And everyone keeps saying no because Record has told them that they will be the one that wins. So like the people being sent down there cannot kill Parrish, but they don't know that because they're sent on this like fake quest of you'll be the ones to find the next cradle, the cradle existing beneath the earth, which doesn't exist. It's Parrish's domain, and Record knows nobody can kill Parrish. But if we always believe that the next people can, we can. Which is something I think will be very interesting to see going forward, is Record continuing to send people on these expeditions as though they will ever succeed and not using them as like a ceremonial purpose and not actually believing in them. Because like if people just stumbled upon upon Parrish's domain, he's not going to be like boom 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 you're dead. He's going to be like, hello, are you lost? How did you make it down here? Friendship ? Which brings up the question that we talked about a lot throughout the show, is nobody except for Record is truly an at-fault villain in this world. They are all not good, but none of them are bad. Yeah.
I think there's a quote in episode 6 or 7.
Were
where
you in the room or were you out of the tower?
Or maybe 8. It was warning Alexander about Record because
start of 7.
She was saying like he's, because Alexander wasn't totally getting it, because he was like, okay, and that's bad, and she's like, yes, and we're gonna go there and you're gonna have a good time. It's still bad. And she goes, he's at best morally gray, at worst an oppressor. And it's like, like, yeah, but he's pretty bad. Like, she gave him a lot of leeway until the Parrish situation.
Yeah,
like she was onto him, but the Parrish situation is what made her go, oh no.
Yeah.
Like,
but from the views of the people of home, he's great. Like, he is what Support failed to be because Support wasn't a public-facing figure. Like, Support, if he wasn't locked away by the people that thought they could break the pact by hiding him, Support could have been Support and not corrupted in so much of a way. Record didn't make the same mistake. Record went, okay, I am going to be so ingrained in your culture, not believing in me literally gets you erased from the minds of the people. Like, not good in any world. But the people at home love Record. They think he looks out for them. They think he helps them, and he does. It's the thing. Like,
it's scary. He's so scary because like the underlying sinister feeling of home when it was entered, and it's like, it's a beautiful place, and like Odette's appreciation of the fact that like, oh my gosh, there's a god of records, and like keeping history is a priority here, and then being like, oh well, no, keeping my history is an important thing here. And the final thing that she was able to get from him being one last threat, basically, of the story of the tower, and the last page being her reading the story of the tower. Was I'm so afraid of him. I love to hate him. Like, I've told Sean, I love Record. I think as a villain is genuinely so manipulative and scary, and I think he's so cool, and I think his journey and the few different conversations that happened with Odette as the story went on, and as she stopped being reverent of him and then trusting him, that last conversation where she was just fed up.
I'm sorry, I thought we were having a conversation.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought we were having a conversation.
Yeah,
And
very much the point when you stopped allowing yourself to be manipulated, he stopped seeing you as an equal. I mean, he never
yeah,
saw you as an equal, but
no,
he
but there was a
engaged in
little respect.
conversation. And then when you went, I don't care about you anymore, he went, perfect. Have
Good.
fun.
Thank
Yeah.
God. He's
Yeah.
like, I was starting to get a little worried. No,
Hmm.
because there was that point after she killed Parrish where the conversation starts, and he's
Hmm.
speaking with a little bit of respect towards her, like,
Hmm.
and she's just like, okay, so now I you're gonna help, right? And he's like, well, yeah, I have been helping, like it's done. And she was
Hmm.
like, no, you're not gonna be pedantic right now. And he was like, oh, okay,
Fine.
well,
Okay.
fine.
Yeah.
Dang, you grew a spine while you were gone. Like,
Yeah. And then just really like one of the last things he ever says to you is, how will little Odette change everyone's minds when her songs never meant anything to them their entire lives? And he just really dropped a line and left.
evil
Yeah.
man. Evil,
'Cause
evil man.
like he is present the rest of the home scenes, but he never talks to you again.
No, he's just watching her. Like,
Yeah.
the only time he talks to her is implied, is during the festival.
He does
As
talk to
someone
you
else.
directly. Yeah, it's like, but that's the thing. He is hidden in the audience as
Yeah.
somebody else talking to you to make sure you're not stepping out of line. But he
Yeah.
never comes to talk to you directly. And after he deems that you haven't stepped too far out of line, he doesn't show
He's
up
done.
again. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is there until you're reading the book and you are aware that
That
he is
he's
there, but you
that
have
he's
no idea
nearby.
where. Yeah.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
was so scary. If the story of the tower and like the goal of the show like
Mhm.
wasn't so close, there would have, like, I think that moment could have really marinated and been so horrifying the more we sat in it. But it was like, okay, the goal's been met, and so she's gonna like talk to him, be like, thank you,
Mhm.
well, okay,
Mhm.
coward. Like, um but oh man, their dynamic was
Mhm.
fascinating to me, because Record should be any character like Odette's dream. Like,
Mhm.
he's basically in a way like the god of stories. So it's like,
Mhm.
wow, this is great. This is awesome. This guy rules.
Mhm.
And then it's like, oh, you're redacting oh, you're rewriting things.
Mhm.
Oh, if people get too far out of line. Like, if
Mhm.
the tower wasn't so important to her, and if she hadn't just like hit that moral low point and her
Mhm.
like guilt wasn't eating her alive, um she was there was a line I almost said, which was when the story of the fell beast was being talked about and someone was like, what was it like?
Mhm.
She almost did like a small like introspection scene of like going into her head, and her out loud just looking off and saying he was beautiful.
Mhm.
And then later, like in my head, I was like, that would ruin everything.
Mhm.
Like, that would have been stepping out so far. So that's a line that, like, in future stuff, I'm keeping in mind, because he was beautiful about Parrish,
Mhm.
is something that has stuck with me, and I think has stuck with her and her guilt
Mhm.
for the rest of her life. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, like Record is such an interesting, and yeah, I think your thing of like he's essentially the god of the story. He's not. Like he is the god of record and information.
Right.
Myth is dead.
Myth is
Like,
dead.
and I think that's a very important distinction. Is the goddess of story and storytelling is dead.
Yeah.
The god of records and information is not. Yeah. Yeah.
That guy. Hate that guy. I love to hate that guy.
Yeah, the running gag is if Record has no haters, Odette is dead.
Odette's dead.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, yeah, we'll bring it to our wrap-ups. Anything else you want to say? Or like what's your favorite moment? Then I'll think about my favorite moment. And then I'll say why I
Jeez.
like the music so much. And then we'll leave, maybe.
My favorite moment is the very end of the show. Is the moment with Alexander, and then the ending little monologue. I mean, you've said that you have an ability to bring yourself like close to tears when it's necessary, and when you did that, that's really when I broke during that scene. and just moving from that to the ending monologue with just tears streaming down my face, which I thought the camera wouldn't pick up because it hasn't in the past before. But no, you can fully see this giant tear just on my face at one point. I think the last few minutes of the show are such a beautiful culmination of the story told, the sacrifices made, and I think leaving it open ended because we weren't sure what we were going to do beyond it was important. Hey, baby.
Dog.
That's my girl. She's gonna get me right now. But yeah, it's gonna be the last bit of that, and I think like at that point we thought we were done with the story. So I think leaving it open. I think leaving it open ended was a satisfying way to end it if that was the end. But then it was us sitting there, and I was like, okay, cameras are off. I just have to cry now. I just have to let it out. And it just being like, both of us being like, damn, I don't want this to be over. Like, I think that moment was special. I think the trust that we built with each other over the course of this show, because we really hadn't interacted much like before doing this. I think the trust that was built just, I mean, even from episode 1 and 2, realizing the stretching our limits of what we were able to do with it. Now I'm really excited to see what comes next, because pretty much nothing's off limits for like the trust has been built. Like we can do some crazy stuff. So yeah, I think the finale, what's filmed and what's not, was my favorite point in it, aside from that 90 seconds of me screwing up.
Hey, that doesn't exist in the world. It's on the cutting room floor and no one will ever see it.
Yep, as we all know, as Record deems it, it is not part of the story.
Yeah, you mentioned something that made me also think like, yeah, we did not know what was coming up next. Not only because we were like, okay, this is a 6-episode thing that we'll do and then we'll both move on from, which is no longer the case in either. It was not 6 episodes and we are not moving on from it. This is a world that we both plan to live in for a while, to the point that it will probably become like a hallmark series of the show that I like, of my channel and everything. It's like, that's probably going to be like, this is what people know of. But also, like, one of the like risks of doing pre-records, you don't know how people are going to receive it. Like, I think the only 2 episodes we had left to record when episode 1 went live were 13 and 14. Everything else had been recorded for literally months. Some of it had been edited already for months. And it's like, we had no way of knowing if people would like it. We had no way of knowing if people would care for Odette. We had no way of knowing anything. And we had done, at that point, August, September, October, November, December, February, January, February, 7 months of prep work and everything for a show that had a real chance to fail. And luckily, it didn't. So thank you, the world, for caring about the story and being engaged in it and like showing up for it and spreading the word of mouth for it, because like, we've seen the metrics, and like the metrics support like that people enjoyed the show, which we're appreciative of. But then people that will message us just out of the blue being like, I watched it, I'm hurt, or I watched it like, oh my God, or some of you all who like watch it weekly as it comes out. Like, we would do YouTube premieres for our own freedom, because sometimes we just couldn't be free for Twitch, or sometimes like it made more sense to be YouTube for this project. And even if people weren't able to like comment along because they were watching at work, we'd see like people watching it with us, and it was very cool to see. And then people to reach out after and be like, hi, this is spicy, I like it. And then as the option for a few people to be a part of the anthology, the immediate response of yes. Like, not even what will the anthology contain, like, I can be part of this world. Yeah, okay, come on, give me options now, has been incredible. And my favorite moment, well, I'll talk about the music stuff first, because it kind of informs my favorite moments, and then I'll talk about my favorite moment. Yes, the music is fun. Part of it is I wanted every god to have their own sound. I didn't want anything to feel similar. And I wanted all of them, like Home. The theme for Home is called Only Human, which I think is very fitting for them, because like, and it has a lot of overlapping voices. It has a lot of like change, which felt very city based, versus the theme for the tower, which is very stagnant because it can't grow. But then Odette's theme is called A Gentle Storm. It's the one that you all have been listening to the entire time here. There's also her adventure theme called Open Fields, which is like that first time that you felt like you could go somewhere right before it all went to shit. It comes back 2 other times throughout the show. Parish's theme is, I think it's called like A Field of Flowers. And I actually cut out part of it because I didn't want the whole thing. There's one spot that loops a few times, and then that comes back like when you regret it, that plays softly beneath the other track. And then in the end, when you're thinking about him again, talking to support, that plays again. Want's theme is called The Lonely Traveler. The times whenever Odette is trying to figure out who she is are called Ember and Ash. The Ember one always comes first, and then the Ash one comes second. Comfort's theme was specifically Spanish guitars, because I wanted it to have that like very like Resident Evil 4 safe room feeling of like, okay, we can all take a second to breathe here. It's the first time we can breathe in a stress moment. And it's still a really sad guitar. Like, it's not like a happy folk sound. It's like a sad Spanish guitar. What are some of the other ones? Record's theme is called Eternum, because Record will last forever. Support's theme, as Support doesn't have a theme. As Support has a theme called Support Bells that I wrote, that is a little bit of a dig from Sean at the concept of modern religion, because if you listen to it, it is the opening 4 notes of In Christ Alone, which is then messed up and changed to kind of show like, hey, this ancient hymn, because again, the world existed beforehand, a hymn of we believe that you will help us and all, and we can trust you, and then getting corrupted and fucked up with. I felt like that was a very appropriate one. And it only plays twice. It plays in 6 and in 14. And each time only one time through, it doesn't repeat. But for anyone that's really listening, be like, is this Jesus? Oh, yep, okay, now it's weird. Like, I wanted to have that moment there. There's also a drone track really low all the way through called Drone of Melancholy. So if you're ever like, oh, the music has dropped out, but it still has a little bit of a vibe to it, or like a really soft piano twinkle, that's that. And that's in every episode from after you kill Comfort through when you make it to Support. It's constantly underneath every track in the show, because it's when your journey starts and ends. And so that's when it starts and ends. In one of the episodes, when it's the finale, when Odette dies, her theme plays its last note and is not heard again. The final track that we hear on the show, I wrote, and it's called Gone But Not Forgotten. And it's just it's a death theme I wrote for any time a character dies on the channel, but it feels extra fitting for Odette. What else? Yeah, it's just, there was so much fun. And I would message Abbi being like, I think you're gonna like this one, or I think you're gonna hate this one. And she'd be like, what do you mean? And then she'd watch it. And then like most of the Thursdays I couldn't watch along live, and I would get messages like, I hate you, or this is rude and aggressive. And I'd be like, why? And then she'd be like, this happened. I'm like, did it? Oh yeah, it did. Which has been very fun to see.
One thing, once theme playing, saying goodbye to Alexander.
Yes. Yeah.
Killed me. It killed me, because she's the goddess of unrequited love, and her champion can never get what she wants. And Alexander and Odette's relationship doesn't have a label. It's complicated, but there was definitely potential, like, for
even
them.
Arya plays at that.
Yeah, Arya.
Like, oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't assume.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, there's definitely like, if the things that happened didn't happen, probably they would have lived their life together. And so that theme playing, devastating. Hey. I hate it. I love it.
I would get so many messages of evil Sean. I don't think I did anything wrong. I think I was very kind and helpful the entire show.
Evil Sean. Evil Sean does all the work, makes it pretty and sad, edits my mistakes out.
And then evil jokes Sean. About like, I did nothing. You and your actions and your dice rolls had consequences. I simply was there.
That's evil.
Like,
Sean.
There's a real argument over who killed some of the NPCs. Was it Sean for DMing their death, or was it Abbi for rolling their death into existence? Who can say?
I still think comfort was Sean's fault. I passed the tests.
Hey. Cool. What is my favorite moment? The finale is strong. I do think the finale lands exactly where it needs to be. I do think the finale is the best episode out of all of it, and I do think it stands alone. And we've had people we had a Discord watch along, and like Jenna and Mika were able to join us for it. Some people that had seen parts of the show, but not all of it, and then some people that have like gone back and watched it. Because 6 and 14 are our most viewed episodes on it. Like watching back, those two have, and the finale, have more views than anything else across all medias combined. And it'll be interesting as the podcast comes out, because our podcast audience is a very different audience than our video audience is. And I'm really happy that it's doing very well on the podcast currently. Like a whole new set of people are finding it, which is really exciting. But yeah, I do think the finale is very strong, and I do think it holds its own. Like if you need like a Godkiller one shot, you can watch episode 14 or chapter 14, because every episode is referred to as a chapter in Odette's story. And you can watch chapter 14 and really it will land for you, even if you don't catch all the references and stuff. But what's my favorite moment? The image I want, and we've joked about this, I don't think it's my favorite moment, but I do want the interaction with Parrish. Like I think Parrish, and in my head I know what it looks like, because the world is in my head, is just such a beautiful human in a beautiful location. Like yes, her being the god of rot and decay, it's just like a bunch of like roses and spider lilies and just little like magnolias that are all in this room with just like a pretty boy vibing. Like I think that would be very cool to see artistically drawn out, and then for Abbi to animate the like scene of him dying.
Keep trying to tell people I can animate. I cannot.
I can keep trying until you learn to animate so that you'll let me stop. But what's my favorite moment? Yeah, I know. We text each other every morning being like, I'm so sleepy. Like we know who wakes up first because someone will say they're tired.
Yeah, there's a good morning. Like we do not say good morning. We just go, I'm so tired.
Yeah. But what's my favorite moment? I think it's definitely changed because by the time an episode goes live, I've interacted with it 3 to 5 times. I have mentally prepped it, I have GM'd and recorded it, I have edited it, and then for some of the episodes they need several like days of edits or several passovers. If I'm like, okay, I'll do the sound now, but I don't know how I want this one to sound yet because I don't remember what we did here. There were also a couple of times that I had to redact things from episodes because we'd say something in one, and then the next episode would be like, yeah, when this happened, it's like, that canonically didn't happen. Oops. It's like there's a couple of moments that I had to redo that. And I think it changed just by like the intimacy of sitting with the scene and being like, how exactly do I want this to happen? But I think just from like to keep it fair to you, the same player level of where it would be would probably be Wind was a lot of fun to play, but Wind's not my favorite. Wind's just honorable mention.
I was so sick when we met her.
Yeah. I think it might be the scene with the ocean, like the oceanside town that's destroyed, because like we found a poem there and Crest led you on the way, but I think it sets up so much how the world works. It sets up so much what Odette is going to have to go through, because by that point you've walked like a day to get to the ocean side, and it's like it's marvelous and it's incredible because you've been on the side of the tower that's never faced the ocean, so you've never seen it, and like it's been there the entire time. And I think it is a 2-day walk. I don't think it's a 1-day walk, but it's not long. But then for you to get from there to home is a week, and it's just Odette walking alone by herself, having to keep faith that these ripples are guiding her, and it's not just she's seeing things that aren't there, and really trusting that Crest is helping. But then there's also just so much in that town of like what happened to it, and maybe we'll learn the answer, but currently we don't know, because why is a town on the coast destroyed by water? Like if we look at the world, Crest is probably the protector of that town because of how proximity works to divinity. Crest would not destroy his own people unless he was prompted to. And then the other symbol that's there is Death's symbol, which could be written out in a way of like they knew that they were dying, and so people started praying to death for comfort and all that. But like that's not how death works. Death shows up at the time death needs to be there, and it would be strange for anyone to be praying to death when it's Crest's home. So why is death's symbol there? And I think just that town with how empty it is, but how much Odette reflected on it, set up so much like to come of overlapping divinity. Like Want can exist wherever she wants. Want doesn't have a domain. I mean, Want has a domain. Want doesn't have a dominion. She can be everywhere and no one can stop her. Death can also do that, but death shouldn't be. Like death should not be there. And the fact that like death, love, and want are siblings, and all of them can be wherever because it's natural. Who's trying to ground death in a location? That's bad. Death don't want that. I think that just sets up so much of the concept of what you went through of like these gods are gods, but they're also very much at the whims of the people because they need their worship. Yeah. I think that's probably my favorite is that. And also I just like ocean stuff. And it had like a nice little like Celtic sound to it. Because it just did, and yeah. I don't know. I liked that one a lot. And then also the finale is really fucking good.
Oh, the finale's so good.
Yeah.
But hey, beautiful poem in that scene too. Major shout out to everyone who helped with the lore, wrote poems, the Wayfarer's Journal, a beautiful song was contributed. So just major shout out to the people who made the Cradle as lived in as it was. It is a very beautiful project.
Yeah. I do believe that song Written is the only song that appears twice in the ending credits. Yes, it's Doves at Dawn by Louisa. And it appears because it's so fitting to the concept of like, okay, it's not an end, it's next. And Odette has a lot of nexts. But the poem written by Jellyfish Lines. The concept of the Wayfarer's Journal was by
Postmodern Bard by DJ.
Okay. Yeah. Also a couple of the gods created. Haven was created, I believe, same person.
By Ashton, by NQP.
Ashton,
not quite proficient.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of just like
I think was the skeleton landmark, I think, was brainstormed just within the group in the writing chat, potentially.
That was it was like what could be seen, and someone put that there, but that was also that is a named god that is dead, that has never been talked about across the show, but will be. I can let you all know. That is the god of foresight. That is the first god to die in the God War, because she, with foresight, saw that the divinity was draining and saw a way to safely get through it. That essentially would have required everyone to compromise and give up a little bit. And one of the gods of war, not saying which one, but one of the war gods said, no, we can get power here, and essentially kicked off the divine war by killing foresight. And her curse upon humanity as a result is that her body stays there and that her eyes constantly lick black ichor because you cannot see anything in it. It's unreflective black tar. And so the goddess who would once have guided them through made sure that humanity can never benefit from her gift again.
Yep. And now she's buried in the dirt. Not bad.
I mean, half. Like, because she's not the god whose ribs you went into.
Oh, that's Yippee.
No. Yeah, that's different. Like, that's an unnamed corpse. And that's kind of the one that we built with chat when they were like, oh, there should be a god skeleton there. Foresight is to the east when you look out, and it's always been there. But
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. Lore.
Yeah, there's so much lore, which is why an anthology is great, because there's so much lore that lives in my head and couldn't make it into the show without each episode being 4 hours of allow me to give you a sermon on the history of the Cradle, and then 5 seconds of Odette, a lecture. I don't know.
No, it would be. It's a lot of it would be religious based, which would be in sermon.
And so that's kind of what we're gonna do with our little anthology there. And then there's like a couple things that like you'd ask me after an episode, like, what's that about? And I don't know how much of it you ever expected to actually get an answer from, but
I just have questions. I'm a
Yeah.
theory. I'm the player who, as I've told Sean, because I kind of had to grow into this role as the sole like player in the game. Was I am someone who's very comfortable on mute taking notes until someone wants to interact with my character, which leads to a lot of sessions where I'm good, like nothing happens, and someone's like, oh wait, what about you, what do you want? And it's like, oh hi, hello, like oh what do I want? And so typically like my notes are so sparse for this show because I had to be on and ready for a response at all times. But that would make my theory crafting at the post session be like, oh, but what about this? Like afterwards, because I wouldn't have my notes to kind of satiate that. So I'd be like, oh, but I want to know more about this. Are we gonna do this? Like,
yeah, and I feel like for most things, I had the answer. I was like, oh, this is the answer. There's no way for Odette to learn that, but you, Abby, can know. We both love the irony that the one bit of improvised lore in essentially the entire show is when Odette asks support his story, and I go, fuck, and have to make up. I do believe, watching it back, I think it's a 9-minute monologue.
I cannot make a clip from it because I went to do. There were a couple points I went to try to get clips, and it would be like, oh, this is 6.5 minutes of one of us talking for the finale.
Like, I know it's that long because it has 4 different tracks at play without the like an uninterrupted monologue with 4 different orchestral tracks in it. I do believe it's about a 9-minute monologue telling his story, which in my head, like parts of it existed. But the thing that makes it so ironic is all Odette wanted to do was know who this guy is.
And Sean was shocked when I asked.
Yeah. Odette's like, I want to figure out who this unnamed god is. And so in my head, it was like, yeah, you want to figure it out. And then also, I do think going into the finale, despite the fact that we both knew you didn't want to kill support, there were very few avenues presented prior that allowed you for like a friendly compromise. And so in my head, it was more of the thought of like, ooh, what do we do about this all versus how do we, what information does he need to know to tell her when they'll probably never talk? And yet we talked, and I had to be like, ooh, that's a great question. And that's also why you'll see me like not looking into the camera a lot, because I'm staring down like, okay, and then the timeline of events in the world is this, and he was slotted here, and then the timeline of events is this, and he was slotted here, and this is how he talks. So you can't just go into DM brain of, let me give you an info dump, because this is a character answering his own history. And
it just cracked me up, because typically if there was a moment of narrative panic in the show, it was me and my fault. But there was this one where you were like, how is I like, I think there was a point where you went, how is I supposed to know you're gonna ask to tell like his story? And I was like, want. She asked want it in the room that support was observing, like, and her whole point is everyone has a story and she wants to know it.
Yeah.
It was
well,
so
that
funny.
was
You killed
we had
that
that conversation. Thank you. We had that conversation like, I think it was 2 weeks ago during the finale airing. Because like during it, I remember after we recorded, like, damn, how long ago did you write that? And I was like, I didn't. That was an off the dome. And you're like, oh, I thought you were like reading it. And I was like, no.
It did seem like you were reading something.
Yeah, no, that was me going, and then the world got, okay, and so this is where he'd be, and then like mentally recalling in my head not only your entire show, but the entire canon of the world from even before Foresight died, from when the collapse of man happened and the elements appeared. I was like, okay, I got to remember here to here now and succinctly tell this. Here we go. And so I'm glad at how it went, and I am very thankful to everyone who said it was well done. But then and then also then really set you up for a lot of your good one-liners after, where you're just like, it's also fun, the things where it's like in that scene's particular, you're like, I ate, and it's like, no, you didn't. You ate, and you didn't.
I ate. I absolutely ate with some of those
Yeah, some of them for sure. But there are some lines that we did, like the one where you're like, where you say, "Well, maybe you should think that we do change." She's like, "Stop! You don't realize I'm telling you change is a bad thing right now. Stay in your place." And you're just like, "I think I ate," and it's like you didn't.
I think I ate because I think the point of where humanity needs support the most in its purest form is when humanity is at its most violent and lowest. So when he's like, yeah, if humanity sucks right now, like I will be observing and we will see what it deserves. And she's like, but here's the thing, humanity does suck right now. Like it's like things might stay really bad, things might get worse, but there's gonna be those moments, because for her upbringing, we don't go much into it because it's a little like, if you go too much into Odette and Alexander's past, it's very deeply sad, and it's full of hardship. But the moments that she remembers and the moments that make her a positive figure before this adventure starts is those moments of like someone listens to her song, and they don't have anything to give, but they give their time. Like stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, and the tower meanwhile is full of corruption and selfish people, and like bad people too, who at their core though are still just trying to survive. And the moments that matter are the ones where support in its purest form is present. So it was her being like, you can do this. Like, humanity does suck. Humanity does suck, and they're gonna keep being bad, but you have to look for those moments of like, yeah, a mother and child listening to a street performer's song, like, and just giving that time. Like, that's where she was trying to give him a new outlook on life. But she is just a girl.
And from his perspective, this is the longest you all have gone without causing a war since Foresight died. Maybe you don't want to change that. Like, maybe you're content in the fact that that these people came to help you. Maybe don't want them to change that, because the alternate is they kill you on sight, Odette.
Her point was just like, if it gets to wars again, don't become this again. Like, focus on something else. Don't sign a contract.
Support is so open-ended. I know support was one that Abby had asked if we could explore in the anthology, and I said no. I intentionally I don't want support's next steps to be discussed at this time. I want them to be a character who is on their own journey. Maybe a journey that will be told one day. But I don't want that to be the focus of the anthology, is what happens to support. It's like, no, this is not about the divine and their actions. This is about the people whose lives have been affected either by Odette or prior by the gods.
Yes.
Okay. Well, on that, let's tell the people where we be, what we can be doing. One more shout out. Gen Con. In chat, a link. Hey. Come to our live show. If you liked anything you heard today, that's great.
You're going to be at Gen Con.
And you're going to be at Gen Con. And you're free at 10 a.m. on a Friday. And you have $2, which if I could, I would have made the event free. Gen Con would not allow me to make it free. So if you have $2, you're going to Gen Con and you're free at 10 a.m. on a Friday, and we find out all of those things are true and you're not there, you will move down on Abby's rank.
That's right.
Yeah. You'll be ranked below even but yeah, Andy is the one that got ranked the lowest on, and you got so upset about that.
Oh, I don't know. Odette was so pissed.
Yeah.
He was like, you just met these guys.
The 4 canon friend names were Josh, Zach, Daniel, and Andy, which are 4 of my real life friends. And you asked for 4 guys' names, and I went, and pulled up the lads from them. And so it was very funny when even Andy, I'm like, Andy's great. We love Andy. But yeah, tell the world where you can be found in the next while, because we don't got nothing coming out anymore.
No, I'm only in 4 other projects for you. So you can find me here throughout the year.
Yeah.
Just keep an eye out. And then you can find all my things under the Abigail the Nerd account. I do tend to make clips of shows that I'm in, because I don't really have time to make other videos because I'm in lots of shows right now. Mainly you can find me regularly, weekly and bi-weekly over on the Tales Guild in Astral Guardians, a supposed to be comedic Spelljammer Guardians of the Galaxy inspired campaign, but my girl, her life fell apart in like episode 9. So she's sad. And then Tales of Aegis, where I play just a gal, another one who's just a gal, on Tuesdays. So that's where you can find me. And then yeah, you can find me here and in Sean's Discord being a menace.
Yes. In terms of where you can find me, not a lot right now. There's a lot on the production end happening. There are many shows recorded, many series that are waiting to go out or that will go out in various capacities. Some of them won't even come out until next year at this point because of the release schedule, but we're doing a lot of the back end stuff. But the next time we'll be live here on this channel with the TTRPG related thing will be June 10th. So in 3 weeks, when the premiere of Our Place Season 3 will be happening. It is not yet titled, but it is it's a big city take. If you're not aware of what Our Place is, it's my recurring anthology series of you find out you have 6 days to live. The world is ending in 6 days. You cannot stop it. And you are just people. Us here on Earth, finding out a solar flare is going to hit us in 6 days. What do you do? Who do you become when you know your actions matter less than who you want to be? And that's going to be fun. It's got Abby. It's got Keon. It's got Kelly. It's got Anna. And it's got Mia. So
I didn't know I was in this. I got to check my schedule, Sean. You can't just throw me into stuff last minute.
You did reject the calendar invites because you didn't like how they looked.
No, I rejected the calendar invites because I accepted them and my phone put them in 4 times. Yeah, so I had to go and reject them all 3 times.
Like, you can't see it, which is fine. But at this distance here, this is one thing I'm a part of. But Google is like, oh, it's on your calendar and it's on your content calendar, and also they sent you an invite, so it's like invite from, and I'm like, Google, I don't need that, leave me alone. And then so Our Place will be going down, and then also if you really liked what happened today and you want to hear more of it, we're going to be doing a little media tour. Watch as we have some announcements closer to each one, but several of our friends were generous enough to extend us an invitation to either come talk about the Godkiller system or talk specifically about Songs of the Past and our hopes for the future of it. So this Talkback is the first of many that will be gracing your screens throughout summer. So keep an eye open. And we'll announce them when it is time and when the channels decide to announce them, because it's not our place to. But we'll be talking about this show all summer until Gen Con, and then we'll be talking about the show all winter after Gen Con. And we're not leaving.
You guys have to be sick of us. You guys simply must.
We're not leaving it.
Nope.
We're no longer a variety channel. We are a Godkiller channel. Which is
I'm
wild.
not leaving.
The anthology series does not use any Godkiller in it.
Nor am I'm not in it.
Yeah, nor is Abby a part of it. Okay. Well, we will find someone to raid out to, but thank you everyone for going on this journey for us. Podcast audience, thank you so much for starting your journey with us. If you want to listen to the podcast, only 3 episodes are out. It releases bi-weekly on the Help Action Needed podcast, and it will be going out through November. So if you are someone that enjoys more audio, if you're more of a slow burn, double pace, and give yourself time to listen to episodes so that they don't get caught up on, that is Keon. Well, welcome in. We're about to raid out, but yeah. So if you want to listen to it there, you can, or if you want to watch it, it is on the YouTube permanently there, saved as a playlist. It's also on both of our beacons and link trees as like a highlighted feature, so anyone can be like, oh, who's Abby? Oh, okay, it's screaming about Godkiller, I guess I'll go watch that. But yeah, that's us. Thank you so much for being on the adventure, and we'll see y'all later. Bye.